Hello everyone, it's Olivia here, aka Story Minded, and I just wanted to make this really quick video to talk about another assignment that I completed for uni. This is for a creative writing module, tips, tricks and techniques, and I currently haven't got the grade. We're getting the grades back for that one and another of the creative writing modules on the 22nd of this month. And yesterday I got my grade back for the Telling Tales short story My Sword that I talked to you about, and I'm happy to say that I got a 68, which was like amazing, and it was really positive feedback, and it was just like, I can't believe, because I was really happy with that grade. And yeah, whoever marked it would, I think it's like double marked at uni as well, but they also agreed that the ending was slightly abrupt, but you know, I was sticking to my guns on that one a bit, so I did get feedback, but I made the decision not to change it, so lesson learned, but still, you have to do what's right for you. So this assignment links in with the Neil Gaiman critical essay I did. Once we had done that critical essay and we highlighted the techniques, we kind of had to use our author as inspiration for our creative writing module. So we could have done a poem, we could have done a short story, pretty much anything we wanted in either of those two forms, or even like the beginning chapters of like a novel, anything really. So I chose to do a like experimental short story, and from my critical essay I really wanted to my goal with this short story was to explore like the use of concrete and abstract language. So in writing you can have concrete and abstract language. So an example of a concrete piece of language would be bed. It's a physical thing that you can touch, sit on, stuff like that. Whereas a more abstract concept would be something that isn't tangible. So for example, a soul or a dream, although you experience that, you're not physically there, if that makes sense. Or like with a soul, for some people soul might be a concrete thing, but in language terms it's abstract. So it's that kind of idea. So I also took a lot of inspiration from a particular short story of Neil Gaiman's, and his short story, The Sweeper of Dreams, was a huge inspiration for my story, which was The Collector of Nightmares. And I even mentioned, and obviously I gave credit to Neil Gaiman for the fact that The Sweeper of Dreams is his character, not mine, that I created, because this, once again, with all our creative writing modules, we have to do an in-depth, like 2 pages for the short stories, like 2 pages of fully annotated drafts to show that we've changed it, and also to show that this is our own original piece of writing. So I mentioned that I didn't create The Sweeper of Dreams, that was a stimulus and inspiration I took from Neil Gaiman's short story, and it's only a tiny little bit, but I had this idea that it's like long after The Sweeper of Dreams came The Collector of Nightmares, and I kind of created this story, and it's originally in the first, it changed so much. In the first draft I wrote it in the second tense, like the second voice perspective, and I sent it off to my lecturer, like the first draft, to get some feedback, and he wasn't so sure about that voice. Like he was a bit wary about the voice, but he said honestly, like, but that's just his personal view, and he wasn't sure. But I realised a lot of my structural, like there's so many structural issues when I think back on this short story. It was like, what the hell? There was so many structural stuff with it, and I realised that because I had an abstract concept for my actual short story, I realised that no, you're right, I shouldn't be using this type of unusual voice for this story because it's making it too abstract. So I stripped it down, and I ended up doing a third person perspective, and the story, it's kind of got like an omniscient view that kind of has a viewpoint of the Collector of Nightmares, so it's sort of like is an overlooking force that is but it kind of inhabits parts of the Collector of Nightmares. And the Collector of Nightmares is this creature that can shapeshift, and it feeds off of people's sort of sorrow that they get from their nightmares, and it's sort of linked in with the idea of repressed memories, and it's quite Freudian in the sense that it's like it feeds off of it, but it's trying to remove, it has to like work its way to the memories and everything that are being like suppressed by this person's nightmares. And I think I left them gender neutral. What was it? I can't remember now because it was so long since I've written it, but it's kind of about this child who they're an adult having this nightmare, but they're a child and their parents were quite abusive, and there's like alcohol, and like they have money issues that have kind of escalated, and they used to be loving and caring, but all these pressures have built up, and they completely change, and they're represented in the dream as this like monster, like this sort of double-headed giant that's like intoxicated. And it was just really fun to try and explore really abstract concepts in this story. It's very experimental. It's like, I don't usually go that abstract in my writing. I like to have moments of abstract, but I'm not the type of writer to be like really abstract, so I have no idea what I'm going to get on it. I'm quite nervous about it because our lovely lecturer, our main lecturer for that module, he's amazing, but he is very harsh, which is fair, and it's good. It's good to have a harsh lecturer, but I don't know if it's too abstract. I think I felt happy with the revisions I made, because literally, like, I completely changed my first draft. It was like there were elements that were the same, but it's completely different. So hopefully, fingers crossed, with the edits I made, I felt a lot happier with the story structure, and I felt it was a lot clearer than my first draft. So hopefully it makes enough sense. And in my first draft, I had some really lovely feedback from a lecturer about a particular point, and he explained that the way I sort of described like the hunger and kind of almost like this descent into poverty and stuff was like really, like, I managed to do it in not a cliche way, and that it was delivered like really sympathetically and stuff. So I thought, oh, that was like really touching. I hadn't even really thought about that part of the story that much. And yeah, it's just a very abstract story, and I created this thing called Dream Speech, where it's like the inner thoughts of the person who's experiencing the nightmares. It's like their voice that's coming through, like crying out for help and stuff like that. So it was a very fun story to do. It's just I don't know what grade it's going to get, but we shall see. And anyway, if anyone's watched this, thank you, and if you'd like to know more, leave some questions below. Bye.